expand the campus. They have been turned down, needing and requiring a hydrological study because they're in a poor water area, and the additional units could not be put in. They've been to the planning department. The planning department says the lot coverage is over. They can't expand the footprint because the planning department has said they're completely built out. So when they got these 6 units, which are residential units, and nobody has a problem with that, they were on the Stevenson lot, which is down about 4 blocks on a different parcel, and that parcel has been sold. And it's closed escrow, and that's parcel number, the ends in the last digits are 36, where the Art Center is on 32. Everybody here with the Art Center has said they're residential units, and that's what they are, and nobody wants to take those away. It was in the paper. Also, again, Leon Walden said that they were residential. But in the town plan, where they talk about having visitor serving, it says student, instructor, temporary and intermediate housing facilities provided by the Mendocino Art Center on site are recognized in Table 1. This use shall require a business license, adequate record keeping, to ensure that the bed tax and monies grossed from transient occupancy less 30-day stays are paid to the county. Well, they're not paying bed tax, and they don't have to. They're residential units. The Mendocino Community Services District shows them as residential units. So they don't have a business license because they're not transient occupancy. This is why the previous board looked at all these documents and said that these units could be moved because they weren't transient occupancy. They're not using them for that. But how convenient that we change the rules on the 27th of this year when this decision was made last year. You come in and you change the rules so that now you can rescind it. You couldn't have rescinded it before until you changed these rules. And that's all I have to say, but I hope that you will not rescind their permit. They need to rent these rooms. The Art Center is not renting the rooms, and they are residential at the Art Center. And nobody wants to hurt the Art Center. It's better for the community if the Art Center is thriving. So the boys don't want to hurt them. Thank you.
Tom Kravis.
Thank you. My name is Tom Kravis, Main Street, Mendocino, California. I'm here to support the Art Center. They sent over about 20 of their visitors last night to our lobby. We enjoyed them. They enjoyed us. I'm sure they do the similar types of reciprocal arrangements with McCallum House. They're a great asset to the community, and we think that the board should support the rescinding of the inappropriate transfer of the units to the McCallum House. I think if you do so, it's a first but an important step in unraveling and resolving what I would consider chronic problems that the County Council has already referred to. The first problem is enforcement of the code. I think Mr. Carter on December 4th, 2008, in his letter to the board, in his first paragraph, requested, quote, authorization to rent 4 additional rooms. This suggests to me as a non-attorney that there was not authorization at that point to rent additional rooms. And in fact, in subsequent public testimony, the applicant said that they had been renting those rooms without authorization for a number of years. This is an unfair business practice, and although I don't know about due process so much, a number of innkeepers in Mendocino have researched the unfair business practice code 7200, and this type of lack of law of code enforcement and renting illegal rooms is a form of unfair business practice. The second chronic problem, of course, is the updating of the town plan. And there is a requirement for the county to update the town plan to provide an in-depth review of the balance between residential, commercial, and visitor services facilities to assess the cumulative effect and impacts of growth and develop a fair and equitable allocation of additional units. If, as a result of that town update, that this board wants to transfer units from inns and hotels and even the Arts Center, so let it be. We have 25% of our rooms are unrented right now. And one would say they're not being used, why not transfer them over to the McCallum House? If there are unused rooms and someone else needs them and the new plan says let's transfer them, then so be it. That's what we should do. If it results in a balanced distribution, judicious mix of commercial, business, and visitor service, and it preserves the character of the town, that's what we should do. Thanks very much.
Wendy Roberts.
Yeah, hi, Wendy Roberts. Barb said it best. Nobody wants to hurt the Arts Center. The Arts Center did not invent Mendocino. It did not give birth to the Cliffs, but it's very, very important to the town. When we bought our home in 1989, it wasn't 2 weeks after we closed escrow, I was invited to be on the Arts Center board as a nonprofit management expert. And I commuted from the Bay Area and served on that board. And the rooms at that time were literally hovels. They've been described recently as melting into the ground. They were mostly rented on a long-term basis to faculty, not on a short-term basis, which is what that table is all about. And they wouldn't rent them in the winter because it cost too much to heat them. I think we all have an economic interest in the rooms that were approved for visitors for transient use. That's what Table 13.1 is. I want to see those used, and I want to see bed tax paid. And it is sort of an unfair business practice for the Arts Center to have been renting rooms to the extent that they rented them on a short-term basis. And it's a mix. They have never complied with the town plan. And with all due respect, the Board of Supervisors has never enforced that requirement. Furthermore, the Board of Supervisors basically doesn't seem to enforce anything about the existing town plan, and I see no potential for gain by changing the town plan unless it's going to be implemented. I regularly have Arts Center students who stay. We have a legally licensed, a very rare thing now these days, single unit rental across from the Arts Center. I have a lot of their students who stay there, and they buddy up. You know, there'll be 2 of them or 4 of them, and they're not paying much at all. And if we had our full complement of single unit rentals and visitors, vacation home rentals, when I was on the board, we maintained a list at the Arts Center, and that's where people stayed, and they paid their bed tax. I don't want the Arts Center hurt, and I don't think it will be hurt if they're limited. They can have up to 13 rooms that are short-term rentals or long-term rentals. And that side is directly across the street from me. Our well is barely dribbling right now. All of the houses immediately around me have dry wells and have been buying water for months. There is not water to add additional housing units to the Arts Center property. They are over 50% lot coverage right now. 25% is the legal limit.